Hello. My name is Virginia, for those of you who don't know me, and for those of you who haven't seen me in a while, hello. It's good to see you again. And these days, I find myself in Cody, Wyoming, my hometown, working as a full-time secretary at the Episcopal Church, which may or may not shock some of you. For those of you who don't know about the Episcopal Church, for me, it has represented an incredibly helpful integration of interfaith, open-hearted, open-mindedness with concerns for social justice and truly loving oneself, God, and one's neighbor, and following the teachings and frequency of Jesus Christ and Christ consciousness. I wanted to talk a little bit about that right now because it's something I've been thinking about a lot, because I'm so in love with Jesus Christ. And I don't know if I've ever talked about the fact that I have been very interested in becoming a nun. However, I feel that life leads me, God, reality, what is, all being synonymous, leads me on more of a path of wild adventurer, householder, lover, free agent. This idea, though, of loving and following Jesus Christ is very real for me, very sustantive, very nourishing. And I would love to hear what following Jesus Christ means to you, if you want to say something in the comments, because I'm always curious. I'm always curious what it is about Christ that calls people. And I had a really interesting experience with one of my greatest friends and mentors, a Sufi mystic. Her name is Virginia Starr, and she led me into the heart cave. And what I was shown there was the bread and the wine in this dark, earthy cave. I was offered a loaf of bread and a chalice of wine. And what that meant to me, that I'm going to share in this moment, is that the body and blood of Christ are within me. And for me, what that can mean, what Christ and following Christ and choosing Christ, and the reason in this moment that I will share for my being a Christian. I love the taste and texture of that word, Christian, Christ. Feels so nourishing and nurturing to me. It's because Jesus of Nazareth was a person who lived as Christ, who became one with the archetype of Christ, living as complete at-one-ment, atonement with God's will. And A Course in Miracles talks about that a lot. There's some ducks flying in a V formation over me. Someone shooting a gun. Here by the Shoshone River, down here with Rosalind. Anyway, the idea being that it's a signature, it's a frequency, it's a way of being that lives inside of us. Jesus of Nazareth was a historical living person. This is the way I understand it right now. I don't know what's right. I'm offering it as a way for those who feel called to the path of Christianity. Many paths, one destination. I have been called back time and time again to Christianity, and so here I am. To have a relationship with what it means to follow Jesus Christ, because Christ is the center of Christianity. Oh, and there's some geese. We got ducks, we got geese. Being at one with what is, with nature, with God's will and our will being one. As Marguerite Porete, who wrote a book called The Mirror of Simple Souls that I would highly recommend. I learned about that book from Mirabai Starr's Wild Mercy, which is another amazing book. She also told me about the mystic Julian of Norwich, who is a really incredible Christian 12th century mystic that I have followed. But as Marguerite Porete would say, by the way, she was burned at the stake. She was a Beguine, which was an order of women that were sort of living as nuns, I believe in Denmark sort of area. And I think she also was 12th century, but maybe 8th century. And she talks about how the only way to find true peace is when we are completely willing to give up the illusion of us having a separate will. Because really all that there is one will, and that's God's will, and our true will can only be in alignment, and to be in alignment with that. And that is how Jesus of Nazareth lived, and that is to live as Christ. So to follow Jesus Christ, to accept communion with the body and blood of Christ, my own body and blood, choosing to become like Christ, that choice being offered within me, is to surrender to the truth that there is only God's will. And again, this is very Course in Miracles, to stop listening to, giving any credence to the illusion that I have some kind of separate will. I've started thinking of will, God's will, more like consciousness, as in there's only one. And it's just coming through all of these different transmitters. So, for me, it's helpful to think of Christ not as a person, or necessarily even less as a person. Although, yes, Jesus of Nazareth was a personal, historical, physical representation of a frequency and a template and a vibration and a way of being that I can choose to step into. And that means living at one-ment in total surrender with God's will. Byron Katie would just call that reality. What is? Michael Singer has a great definition of spirituality. Spirituality is the ability to accept reality. And accepting reality as good, as my friend Allison said yesterday, God is good all the time. Being willing to always surrender my false egos wanting to say something is bad, to open to seeing the goodness in the moment. That is living as Jesus Christ would live. You know, and Jesus of Nazareth is a personal representation of what it could look like, and it could look many different ways as there are humans. In a human body, to live the frequency, the energy, the signature of Christ. It looks like sharing. It looks like realizing that intention and the inner world are more important than the specificities of the outer world. It looks like healing. It looks like seeing abundance where there seems to be lack, etc. And so I just wanted to share right now for me what it means to be a follower of Christ. In one short video, I could say a lot more, and what it means to be a Christian. And I'm sending you blessings. Peace be with you until we meet again.